Hey everyone, good afternoon, good afternoon. I hope this video finds you in good health and in good spirits because it's important that you both are physically well and mentally well. One thing I wanted to talk about briefly is fear. And sometimes we let fear overcome us to where we become like deers in headlights and you freeze and you don't move forward. There's no progress because you're living in fear. So you are constantly procrastinating or saying you can't do something or coming up with an excuse of why you can't do something. Get out there and just do it. Like Nike said, right? Not the goddess of victory, but like just do it. Not the goddess, but don't let fear prevent you from accomplishing your goals. Don't let fear prevent you from living the life that you should have or that you desire. I find that this is a big problem for me with my depression that I struggle with. I suffer not only from depression, but anxiety. So I have a lot of anxiety and panic, which has definitely become easier to manage even without the medicine, with lots of medicine. I was going to say lots of medicine, lots of meditation, focused breathing, and then learning to stay present in the moment and not to emotionally detach myself, but to just deal with stuff head on, which is very difficult. I find that my fear prevents me from a lot of things. I know there's so much more I could be out there doing if I would just do it. Just get out there and live life and not be afraid of the what ifs. You know, I always worry about failure, but then I have to think about it. Well, if I'm doing nothing, I'm failing right there. I'm not even putting in the effort. So, what's the worst that could happen? I try and I fail, then I try again. And eventually you do better and you make it, but at least you're progressing in your life. I find for me that depression is almost, it feels like all consuming at times. I have days where I can't even function hardly. I can't get out of bed. Sometimes I'm so depressed I can't even cry. I just go numb. And that's not a normal way to be living either. Then I have to remind myself my emotions are temporary. Don't act based solely on how I feel, but act based on logic. And then I have to also show compassion to myself by saying, okay, I have a clinical diagnosis of depression and anxiety. This is a mental thing. It's in your mind. It's a chemical imbalance, some of which I can fix and some of it which I just am going to have to live with because it's the way I was born and built. But I have to cope. I have to continue to live. And these days, I am honestly finding that I am barely living. So I am going to hold myself accountable and do stuff more often, even if it means making a phone call to a friend and saying, hey, how's it going? Because when I get depressed, I tend to revert back to my old ways, which was just to shut down and not talk to anybody, like a crab, because that's my cancer. I'm a cancer, that's my sign. So I live inside my little shell and I'm like a little hermit and I don't let people in. And, sometimes that's not a good thing to isolate yourself too much. It's good to have time to yourself and learn knowledge of self and to spend time with yourself. It's important that you like and love yourself. But at the same time, you do need other people, because remember, if you are just living in your head, you're only dealing with your thoughts that you have in there, which are not always, sorry, but they're not always rational or forward thinking and the best and the healthiest thing to do. We tend to ruminate on stuff that keeps us depressed and downtrodden and come up with more excuses. Whereas if you meet other people, you get other perspectives, and that could be really helpful to your life. Plus, you don't want people to think you forgot about them. I get that from my friends sometimes because I will go months where you won't hear anything from me. I'm silent. But that's just me being me and retreating into myself. But I always eventually come back out. So, my message is simply don't let fear hold you back from living your life. Don't let depression rule you. Learn to cope with it and get better. And if you need a doctor's help, don't be afraid to do so. Anyway, I'm going to cut this video because I don't have a lot of space on my phone. I don't want it to cut out on us. But I hope everyone is doing well. You take care. I'll be back with a new video soon. Peace.